This is a conversation I'm going to be recording with Jaz Brown. And this is for Nothing Media and for my own podcast, Ocean to Ocean. And Jaz is an artist who is based in Seattle. And he's also been called a philosopher. He shares beautiful little snippets on his Facebook page, and that's how I found you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, welcome.
Thanks, man. Thanks for the invite.
Awesome. So, I'm going to leave this up to you because, this will be up to you. Would you like to start this conversation by telling us a bit about your background?
How I feel about background. I don't really have a background. Ultimately, I grew up in Georgia. I moved to Seattle, Washington, probably 15 years ago. Back in Georgia, as a kid, I wanted to paint. Wanted to grow up and be an artist, and ultimately, I moved out here with no intentions of painting, and just ultimately realized that one day I was kind of not doing what I was supposed to be doing, and just inspired by the architecture and the I guess the botanicals and all that. It's a beautiful city, so just the city is just inspiring, and ultimately I just picked up paint and brushes, brought some canvases. I think I took like $300 and said, if I fuck up, then I just wasted $300. And then, and that's that. There's no true story. I guess if there's a story, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. So, it's funny when you talk about it. Well, I'm asking about your story. It's funny when we try to tell a story, it has this presumption of cause and effect when that's never really the case.
Correct.
Right. It's nonetheless, it's entertaining and it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like as humans we love stories.
Yeah, I think ultimately we feel like stories, keep us grounded in a sense, and I don't think necessarily that's always the correct mode, that we're looking for. We're looking, we think we're looking to be grounded, but ultimately we're looking for, our true nature. And stories keep us grounded. The story has nothing to do with the reality. So the story is ultimately about not being here now, and of course the reality is we are here now. So the story contradicts the reality. So again, when I'm always asked about a story, I have to dig deep. I have to come up with something that I understand what the question is asking, but it's not based in truth. I'm telling a tale to how I got to where I am now, and ultimately I didn't get there. I've always been here.
Man, I always laugh when I talk to you. It's just you bring things back very quickly to this place where the mind just can't go.
Mm-hmm.
All you can do is laugh,
Sure.
Yeah. And so, well, first of all, I just want to say I'm a big fan of your artwork.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
I mean, I make art myself, and I've loved artwork my whole life. I make music and I love music, and your artwork, it's really just it's like nothing I've seen before. It's really just a beautiful collection of colors and movement and shapes and layers. It's not it has complexity, but it's also minimal.
Sure.
Yeah. And more than anything, I mean, that's just description, kind of like story. It's just, but it hits something in my heart, you
Mhm.
know? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was just gonna say I try not to label of course what I do, but for the art world, I've kind of coined this style, cosmic decomposition.
Whoa. Okay. And could you elaborate on that?
Sure. Yeah, it's ultimately taking things, expression, and breaking it down to its root. It's interesting. I actually, when I start paintings, I prime the surface, the canvas or the panel, prime it black, just to simulate, the void, the cosmos.
I'm
Then,
just
yeah, and then I build on top of the black. So essentially, you got the source, which is always like the sides of the paintings are always black. There's different styles. Some use white sides. Some use like just the natural canvas, the natural panel. But I always go with black. Just to to simulate just what is essentially. So everything that is on top of the black is simply being expressed ejected, projected from the black. So again, you have all these shapes. These shapes seem separate, but ultimately, they're all one painting.
yeah. Yeah, I'm just noticing that now looking at your paintings, many of them have this black border. So that's from the priming of it, the
Yeah,
bottom layer of it.
definitely. Yeah, so it's usually prime canvas or a panel or something like that. So usually the wood is exposed or the canvas is exposed. Most go with white gesso. Gesso is the priming medium, or priming agent.
Right.
So usually when you buy a piece of prime canvas, it's primed with white gesso. So I do the inverse. I apply black gesso, and yeah, I prime it out with the black gesso, and then build on top of that for the most part.
Very cool.
Yeah,
And this is a very literal metaphor for apparent reality, as you were saying.
certainly. Yeah, ultimately, just to to bring us all, metaphorically speaking, to bring us all back to the here and now. You know, I joke and I say, "Not here now" is for entertainment purposes only. You know,
Wait, say that again?
not here now is for entertainment purposes only.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
So, let's say you got a play or a movie or, album, if you're talking about not being here now, you're literally talking about time traveling. You're talking about being in the past or in the future, so clearly that's entertainment. Uh, so, when you don't ditch the entertainment, you appreciate the entertainment, but you understand that it's just simply an expression.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So there's no particular way that this conversation needs to go, but yeah, I just started. I've done a few of these so far, and the way I've done a couple of them is sort of start by talking about the story, and then it sort of all dissolves into nothingness,
Mhm.
or into philosophy, whatever, just
Sure.
yeah. And but if you'd like to share, um, how were you introduced to this sort of philosophy?
Um, Ultimately, I had a conversation with one of my brothers. Um, I gave him a call, or I think I texted him a picture of something dealing with, I can't remember what it was, maybe something Fibonacci sequence based. And, we just kind of kept back in touch via that. And we both, came to the conclusion that, something is amiss, there's an imbalance, and, we should try to, figure out what this imbalance is. And ultimately, we just kind of reduced it to, what we both understand now.
Oh, cool.
Mhm.
Do you still talk to your brother about this?
Not really. I don't really talk, on the phone that much. Back then I would, call and text. I'm not really, there's nothing really to talk about anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So again, we both understand what is. So, we're not going to make, two characters out of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Yeah, there's no you and me really. There's
mhm,
just, yeah, but what is there then?
sure. So yeah, so I feel like, just, talking on the phone, we've had this conversation before,
Yeah,
just discussing, it kind of creates separateness, in a sense,
yeah,
uh, the notion that, it's two of us, in separate parts of, the cosmos, having a conversation. You know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the story. That's the apparent, you know, what was there any other author speaker that had a particular influence on you or your brother in these talks?
Um, Joseph Campbell, for starters, just his whole this monomyth, the whole hero's journey, just kind of breaking that down, for starters. Eckhart Tolle, of course, I guess, now at this point it's it's the clouds, it's the, you know, it's all saying the same thing, you're here now,
Yeah, I guess I haven't read that much Joseph Campbell. I hadn't heard that. I know it's about the hero's journey, and I've heard him talk about it. I haven't heard that term monomyth. That's a
Mhm.
really interesting phrase, like word. What?
Yeah. So essentially, the monomyth is this understanding that all these cultures, are sharing the same story, and just emitting, adding their own character, their own hero. Christianity has Christ, Islam has Muhammad, vice versa. All these you Egyptian myth, they have I can't remember. I think it's Horus, maybe.
Yeah, Horace, Ra.
Right. But
Yeah,
yes, all these, the same characters, but they're just, swapped out essentially.
right.
So once you understand that, you understand that these stories, these myths are saying, the same thing,
Yeah, and then in modern times, I guess we got Star Wars and The Matrix.
Exactly. Right. Right. So yeah, you got Neo and Smith, you have the duality there. And ultimately, yeah, the Matrix is a great example. My girlfriend and I, we used to laugh about, the first one. We saw the first one, we loved it. And, we saw the second and the third, and it's like, this is kind of overboard. Now with a better understanding, you can see that, two and three had to happen, ultimately, there could be no Neo at the end,
Oh, right.
because Neo and Smith are essentially duality. Neo represents the good, Smith represents the bad. So they both, essentially had to cancel themselves out, to reveal, what is. So with that understanding, I'm kind of looking forward to the fourth movie, the fourth installation, because I can't imagine where it could go from there. But we'll see, I guess.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm actually I'm a big fan of some of the other things the Wachowskis have done since.
Mm,
I liked Cloud Atlas, and I liked this Netflix show that's called Sense8.
okay.
It's worth checking out. It's pretty cool. It's pretty
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, I like Cloud Atlas. My favorite is actually, you'll laugh, Speed Racer.
No, I love Speed Racer. Oh man. No, I
Mhm.
saw that in theaters, and man, the colors of that are just amazing.
So I'll say this: before Speed Racer, I wasn't painting, and I saw it in the theater. I saw it like in the theater, like maybe 6 times or so, and I was just so inspired,
Wow.
by what they did with film as a medium. And yeah, that kind of inspired, picking up the brushes and the paint and the canvas, and yeah, giving it a go.
Man, that's so cool. Gosh. Yeah, no, I really makes me want to see it again. I think I've only seen it once. I haven't seen it since theaters, but
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that experience of the colors of it. I remember it. Yeah, the directing was incredible.
Yeah, but the same monomyth, Speed Racer as the protagonist, and yeah, essentially him
Right.
winning the race at the end, all that good stuff. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, so when you talk about being inspired to paint, what is that?
Again, these days, it's just I'm looking at outside the window now, and I see Seattle, it rains, has gray skies.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at gray. I'm looking at a gray building across the street, looking at trees with shades of gray. So I'm seeing three different tones of gray. So naturally I can grab three different tones or mix three different tones and just go from there. Maybe a red car. Just it's all there. I'm just playing copycat.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes me think of the phrase, good artists borrow, great artists steal.
Mm-hmm.
Taking your colors from what you see outside your window.
Yeah. Yeah, back in the day, it used to be ties, be inspired by tie prints, and
By what?
ties, a tie.
Like tie-dye?
No, a literal necktie. Just
Oh,
different tones. You see a
what?
necktie, and it might be like a paisley necktie or a striped, and maybe you have 5 or 6 different tones. And I
Right.
always feel that if I look around and I see a tie and the tones are working there, then it can definitely work on canvas as well. I won't try to copy the tones, to the T, but just get ultimately the expression is there. So yeah, I'm just mimicking the expression.
I get it. And I know when we talked before, you said you don't like to call yourself an artist exactly
Mm-hmm. Correct.
because you don't want to label yourself as anything.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Well,
not, there's no one there to
right.
you
So
look.
when I make that distinction, I create a self.
Right.
So prior to being an artist, there's no artist.
Yeah. And yeah, and so what is there then?
Here and now, we're back to the beginning.
Right. Right. And it's not here and now as opposed to somewhere else or some other time either, right?
Well, it's not even a time or a place. It's just it is what it is. We are not in the moment. We are the moment. It's not the here and now, and I. You know, I am here now. So again, if I'm in the moment, that creates the separateness. It's the moment and I, and then clearly I'm not in the moment. Because I'm not the moment, and I'm figuring out how do I get back to the moment, but I'm already, so again, it's not where I am, it's what I am, more or less.
Yeah, there's this Zen saying that I like. I'm not good at remembering quotes verbatim, but it's something about like I think it's something like gone, 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 upon arriving to the opposite shore, having never left.
Mm-hmm. Correct. So ultimately we say that we are, we say we're not here now in order to get here now. But we are here now, so it kind of it's a vicious cycle that it's inescapable because you're not there, you're here.
Yeah, yeah, and then what some of the great sages have said is it's I one thing that sometimes I hear them say is or read is that yeah, you're not getting somewhere, but what appears to be happening is there's a removal of what's blinding you.
Correct.
All this extra, like there's one person I know, this modern speaker on this, Michael Markham, he calls it the conceptual overlay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like this overlay.
Correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, so when I spoke of cosmic deconstruction, that's what I mean. We're breaking down this overlay to reveal, what is
Yeah, and yet, like you were saying, there's so much entertainment in the overlay, in the story of not being here now.
Sure, and it's fine, as long as you understand that it's a story. You don't take it seriously. You definitely don't take it personally. But yeah, when you are the hero in your story, then you create separateness, and with the hero, a hero needs a villain. So you got to find a villain and go through the motions and.
Oh man, like my favorite fiction author, his name's Thomas Pynchon. The villain in his stories is ultimately entropy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this sort of material observation that everything in the physical universe seems to be falling away, getting colder, and there's this sort, and he sees creativity and friendship and family as things that are just sort of fighting against entropy. Like that's how his stories are kind of set up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because scientists say that eventually everything in the universe is going to just be separated and cold. I mean, nobody knows. Everyone's making their best guess.
Mm-hmm.
But we do know that all of our bodies, everyone on Earth now, is probably not going to live forever. So, I say probably because some part of my body and mind is still like, oh, maybe it'll come up with something, but
yeah, back to forever. When you talk about forever, you're talking about time.
Yeah.
So forever, it's essentially a unit of time. It's so you got the second, you got the minute, you got the hour, you got the week, you got the month, you got the year, you got the century, you got the millennium, and then forever is something, one of those.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly, no one's going to see a millennium. It's 1,000 years.
Probably not.
So with that same notion, there's no difference between forever, the millennium, and a second. They're equally conceptual.
Yeah, how do you experience a second?
Exactly. So in that understanding, how do you, we talk about birthdays and things, how do you experience a year? How do you experience a month?
It's just another story.
Right. So again, it's, a second implies here and now and I. A millennium, time essentially implies here now and I. Again, we decided to speak at 1 p.m. That's more or less an agreement. We don't, really think that there's a 1 p.m. that we're not in a box in a room called 1 p.m.
Well, 1 p.m. for you in Seattle, 3 p.m. for me in Austin. So
mm-hmm. Yeah, so that alone, time alone, again, just more, again, not here now is simply for entertainment purposes only. So
yeah,
there you go. We're back to that.
Yeah, and it is entertaining. I mean, actually, that painting behind you, it looks like to your right. Actually, the one to both sides. Yeah, that one. Yeah. That actually comes pretty close to this way I was sort of visualizing it the other way. Is like these conversations to me, and really everything. It just feels like these like flowing colors in space.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. It's just. Sure. Like agreement, disagreement, conflict, and then, peace. It's all just going, it's just this dance,
mm-hmm.
like dancing colors,
Yeah. So all the forms, if you think of the rotations and the revolutions, that's happening on a atomic level, on a molecular level, particles are all doing the same thing, just rotating and revolving. So once you understand that that's all that everything is doing, all change just rotation and revolution.
Yeah, and this complicated dance. I mean, the particle physicists, they keep trying to zoom in further and further, and
mm-hmm.
They had that theory about it's what they called the God particle, the Higgs boson. That
right.
Remember, for years they were like, "Are we going to find it?" And then they found it, and now I haven't kept up with what they're looking for now, but I'm sure they're looking for more things,
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, what they're looking for is the here and now. It comes back to that's the story. We're all trying to get to where to what we are essentially. So when I say that, okay, let's for starters, I am here now. That statement is just simply saying what I am. The end. There's no it's not ambu. It's not ambiguous. It's
Yeah.
it's just it's a statement. It is true. It's not an opinion. When I think it is an opinion, then I think also that I am not here now. So then there's here now and I. You can call here and now peace, love, joy, bliss, God, consciousness. Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But when there's that separation between what is and I, that's it's almost like cloning. It's like it's two here nows. So the lost here now is trying to get back to the original here now, but both are essentially illusory. The here now is. So again, not here now is simply for entertainment purposes. I can write a story about a character who was in the 18th century. It's simply fiction.
Yeah.
When I say that, I am not here now, that's the same fiction. So when I believe this fiction to be true, then I create this story about how I'm lost in the here and now, and I need to get back to where I was, and it creates all kind of conflicts with the understanding or the misunderstanding that I'm not what I am. So
Yeah.
dog chasing its own tail essentially.
Yeah. Whew, man. Yeah, I know. Where do you go from there? That's the funny thing.
Where can you go?
You're
There's no
always
need to
here.
go anywhere. You're not stuck. You're still.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I feel stuck, I think I am not here now, and then I try to get back to the here and now. But in reality, or the reality is that I am still. I'm here now. I'm still here now.
Yeah. And when you say you're here now, you don't even mean your body is there in your studio in Seattle.
I'm saying the body is in what I am, and I am in the body. Same way that imagine like the ocean, and you have fish swimming in the ocean. The fish are in the ocean, but there's also ocean in the fish. So we think we are the fish instead of the ocean.
Yeah.
So we fear the end of the fish, and the fish end.
Yeah.
Mind that, let the fish end. Be at be at ease with the understanding that this body is going to one day decay, and that has nothing to do with what I am. I'll still be here. If every form, if every planet, every star were to evaporate, hypothetically speaking, of course,
Yeah.
they're just right now just evaporate,
Yeah.
I would still be here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere, and I don't want to go anywhere. When I want to go somewhere, then I create separateness.
Yeah.
Time travel, I want to go to the past. How do I get there? How can I purchase a plane ticket to the past? Is there a bus that takes us to the future?
Well, that's what people call time. That's what they mean by it.
Sure.
That's what they call the fourth dimension or whatever, the space-time continuum, all of that.
It's all entertainment. I mean, you can, create great science fiction stories from that notion.
Yeah, well, I started, like on this journey or whatever in spirituality, for lack of a better word. I mean, 20 years ago or something. And one of the things I was introduced to initially was this European mystic guy named Gurdjieff. And one of the things he really focused on was this idea of the eye and how people have a lot of different eyes, you know. I mean, and this isn't necessarily how I view things now at all, but you're reminding me of it, because it's like this idea of, you know, if there's an I now that's talking to you and a different I, you know, 5 hours from now when I'm talking to someone else, you know, different, you know, there is none of those are the true self, you know, and there really is no true self. That's ultimately, you know, there's just what is appearing, you know, and then the way our, you know, mouth noises try to communicate about it. Mm-hmm. But even that is just, you know, like it's, you know, I heard someone say the other day, it's like words written on water.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I think of it as poetry or dancing.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think of, you know, the human form as, you know, as all form, as, you know, as simply an instrument, you know, this instrument here is, you know, speaking, you know, like a clarinet would speak, you know, or a trumpet would speak, you know. Miles Davis, you know, huge. I appreciate his music.
Yeah.
Simply because, you know, he gave the trumpet, you know, of course, all, you know, jazz musicians and all musicians in general, their instruments speak. But listen to Miles Davis was the first time that I understood that his trumpet is actually the voice, you know, like a band would have a singer. He's the lead singer, essentially, you know. And I never put that, you know, those two and two together. But Miles Davis playing the trumpet is actually singing, you know. So, you know, he'll stop singing and then, you know, you'll have his, you know, drummer or his, you know, you have these other solos. But yeah, everybody's singing. You know.
We're all just singing our song.
Mm-hmm. You know, the same song.
It's the same song.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all coming from that nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that under layer that you put on your canvas first of
right. Mm-hmm. So again, this nothingness, you know, we fear it. You know, you hear, you know, the phrase "the fear of God." You know, essentially, it's the fear of nothing. You know,
why do you think that is feared?
Oh, because it's not I. You know, it's separate from I. So if I think I'm not it, and I realize that I am it, that's the end of what I think I am. So it's the fear of that annihilation of this separate self, you know.
So some, you know, from my observation, you know, it seems like people who come to this position you're describing, this way of putting things, mm-hmm. You could say this experience. I mean, everyone kind of has their own way of putting it and their own story of how they've experienced, you know, the falling away of the sense of separation. Mm-hmm. And some people describe it as like very in like a very blissful thing, and some people describe it as very painful, like you're saying, like they don't want to lose that sense of separation. Mm-hmm. You know, like if you want to call it the ego or whatever, I mean, this identity, you know, like, I mean, yeah, so I guess I'm curious, is there any story there for you? Was there of an apparent process, an apparent falling away that was pleasant or painful or both?
Initially, you'll laugh when I say this, but initially it was always, you know, peace and person, you know, and there was always a disconnect. How can I get back to peace?
Right.
So essentially, I can't get back to peace because I am peace. So the person, the sufferer, you know, only wants to suffer, you know. It wants nothing to do with peace because that would be the end of suffering, you know. So I had to figure out, like, do I want to, you know, identify as not peace and be this seeker that loves its suffering, or do I want to give up the seeker? So, you know, you talk about self-sacrifice, surrender. You know, you're essentially giving up the person. You know, you're turning You're, you know, you're turning the person in, like to the authorities, like like you're ratting out, your friend or something, like giving them up to the police or something, But this friend is not your friend, it's the root of all your suffering. So yeah.
Would you say there was a conscious choice that was involved to do that?
It can only be. I mean, only God can surrender. The person can't surrender. So we want this person to surrender and then to meet God, but God has to surrender. God has to say, I don't want anything to do with this person anymore. I understand the story, and we all agreed to this. We're gonna suffer and seek God, and go to church and blah blah blah. But yeah, you have to make a choice. Do you really want, knowing what is? Do you want to continue to identify as the suffering sufferer, that wants to find peace, even though it doesn't really want to find peace? So it's the seeking, it's the, seeking belongs to this false sense of self, this me, that is not here now.
And when you say God,
Mm-hmm.
your understanding of God has changed over the years throughout as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, God, it's a word ultimately. It's not God isn't even a big deal.
Yeah.
Being here now is not a big deal. Peace isn't a big deal. Love isn't a big deal. It's what it is. It's when you make it into something big, then you create separateness. If I want peace to be this big, explosion that happens, then I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah, that's why it's ordinary.
Correct. I mean, not even. I mean, it's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it can't be. I mean, even calling it extraordinary is too much. Like it just is. It's here now. It's not a thing. It's not something that we can assign value to. I can't go out to the store across the street and buy peace for $1.99. Where peace is not like the stock market. It doesn't go up and down. One day peace is at 99 cents. One day peace is $1.99. And buying shares of peace. That's not how it works. So it's not a commodity. And once you understand that,
Yeah, it's occurring to me now that they covered this in the Matrix pretty well, where when Neo wakes up to reality, out of the Matrix, he's like, it's very uncomfortable. And then for that dude Cypher, it's like he wants to go back into the dream, the movie, knowing
last thing he wants is to end suffering.
Yeah. And so did you go through, was there a journey through that lasted a certain length of time? I mean, I know that's not the most important question, but I feel like a lot of people wonder those things because a lot of people feel like they're stuck in the suffering or in the seeking.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go through what appeared at the time like stages of getting more and more in the piece, less and less in the character, and was it painful to go through that? Or
so again, I'll say that I am here now. When I think I'm not here now, then I create a disconnect. So the phrase "I am not here now," if I understand that to be truth, then I'm going to create a character that wants nothing to do with the here and now. It can say, "Oh, I'm this guru, I'm this spiritual teacher, I'm this artist, I'm this man, I'm this human being, I'm this person." But the last thing it wants is to not be that, what it is. Once it's exposed, like the gig is up. Again, you turn yourself in. So again, it's not the journey is for the person. The here now doesn't need to journey because it's here now. The journey, if you look at the journey as the fall, it makes more sense. You know, the fall from grace, and the journey is the fall. So you don't want a journey. You know, you're getting, you know, further and further away from the source. You know, metaphorically speaking, you know, your character is getting further and further away from what you are. So you don't want this character to return home. You just want the end of the character. The character is the journey. The ego is the journey. You know, the road, you know, fuck the road. And where do I need to go? Where am I trying to go?
Well, you were at one point trying to get to the peace, but like you said,
not as not I.
Right, as not I. So oh man, it's such an insidious thing. It's such a weird. It's like one of those finger traps, you know.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. So
yeah.
You know, now you have to look at anxiety and depression as entertainment. You have to see it that way. Otherwise, you'll always want to get rid of it. It means that I am not here now, and I am trying to get here now, even though I don't want to be here now, because that would be the end of, you know, anxiety and depression. You know, so we look at you know, suffering as this horrible thing, but it's entertainment. We look at a horror movie and you're laughing and, oh wow, that's so cool. You know, you have to look at suffering in the same way. You know, wow, that's pretty cool. You know, I think I'm not here now.
Man. Well, yeah. So when it comes to yeah, so like on the relative level, let's say if you're, you know, like if you realize you've had a habit of being around a certain type of person that's sort of like, you know, I don't know, like causing you problems, right? And then you can realize, well, you know, that's better to just not be around that kind of person and feel better, you know, or if you're eating something in your diet that's like you realize is causing problems with your body, it's like you can just sort of naturally realize, oh, it's better to not, you know, eat that. Yeah.
You know, ultimately, if I'm in a, you know, comfortable spot, you know, let's say I'm, you know, I'm walking down the street and I get robbed, you know.
Yeah.
Like it can be seen as an uncomfortable situation, or I can understand what's going on. You know, the robber, you know, essentially thinks that it isn't what it is. You know, so I can look at it as entertainment. I can just play the game. Here's what you want. You know.
Yeah.
Or I could freak out and, you know, try to fight or, you know, do whatever. But
yeah.
Ultimately, I can't. It's impossible to not be here now. So I'm not gonna, you know, try to separate myself from the scenario is not here now. You know, the scenario is happening in the here and now. You know, if that makes sense.
Sort of. I guess. Yeah. I guess my follow-up question to what you said was, it really is just on the level of the story of the character Jaz. Like, has anything like anxiety, depression, or anything personality psychology wise changed because of this shift of perception? Or
well, see, I guess that's the thing. I don't, you know, the character for me is gone. You know, I don't even associate with character. Like, again, you know, you can call me Jaz, and I understand what you're, you know, what's going on.
Yeah.
You're speaking on a relative level, but I understand there's no Jaz. So, you know, again, there's no artist. You know,
right.
The artist would be anxious. Jaz would be anxious. You know, you know, the human being would be anxious, but there is no human being. You know, so I understand that. You know. When I say I'm not what I am. So again, I could feel anxious and I understand what's going on. I can either laugh at it or try to feel better.
What's going on when that happens?
Oh, I think I'm not here now.
Right.
You know, I think I'm in life. I'm in the moment. You know, I'm in the world. I'm in the cosmos. You know, it's a container. It's, you know, what is and I.
Separation.
Correct. So then I realized, you know, I got to drop essentially the place where I think I am and the person that I think I am. They both, they're both nonsense. They're both for entertainment purposes only.
Wow. Wow. Well, that's interesting. I mean, some people say, some speakers on this say that you can't use non-duality to solve problems of duality. Does that resonate as well?
Sure. Yeah. So if I have I'll break it down to as simple as,
Sure.
I am here now. If I think I'm not here now, then I've created the duality. The duality has nothing to do with being here now. It has everything to do with not being here now.
Right.
So if I want to be here now in the duality, as a character in this story. So the story and the character are, that's the duality. The story right. And the character. Because the story, the character, if you remove the character from the story, it would just be a story, So nobody, they can't be separated because they're essentially one. So the story and the character. So again, the end of the story is the end of the character, and that's what we fear.
Mm-hmm.
Because then we think that the character will be left alone without a story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to understand that both the character and the story, I'm not going to speak. I don't tell stories because then I would have to create a character. I understand when someone says, tell me about yourself, I understand they want a story.
Yeah.
So I'll come up with a story just to appease the question.
Yeah.
Like if I was at a job interview or something, tell me about yourself. I would say, what they want to hear, but I understand that, this has nothing to do with, what is, this is simply for the job.
Yeah. It's just the dance.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's jazz, it's like, well, you're playing in key, you're on the right tempo.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I know the silence has nothing to do with the keys.
Yeah. Nice. Man, that's interesting. Yeah. So like when we're listening to music, we're really listening to silence with music on top of it.
Silence is listening to the music.
Silence is listening to the music.
Mm-hmm. So when I want to be the music, then I create a separateness from silence. Or when I want to not be silent, again, when I fear silence, when I fear nothing, when I fear peace, when I fear God, when I fear love, then I create this story about not being it and trying to literally, again, the sufferer does not want, first of all, there is no sufferer. The sufferer is imaginary. It's a role, and as long as I think that this role is real, that I can actually find peace, I'll just keep on playing the role, and the role ends eventually, either on your deathbed or you figure it out, but it ends. But this experience is not supposed to be taken personally, as the body,
Yeah, that brings up a couple things I wanted to bring up. There's this one quote from this speaker who's passed away named U.G. Krishnamurti.
Mm-hmm.
And he said at one point, he said that his son, when his son was between 0 to 2 years old, before he had any language, he said that was the greatest teacher he ever had in a human.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Just no story, no, just natural.
Right.
Life. Yeah.
Yeah. You look at a newborn baby, the baby doesn't think I'm this body, eventually it does, but off top, it's just, I can't imagine, what they would see, but I sense that it would be just oneness, no separation, no, this is not a tree, this is not a dog, this is not a table, it's all just one thing that is moving and just vibrating and,
Yeah, actually, yeah, when I took Psych 101 in college, that was the thing that stood out to me most in that whole class. Was at one point they were describing the stages of child development,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember just being really fascinated when they were saying there's a stage where like the child doesn't understand separate shapes,
Mm-hmm.
see separate shapes, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah, it really is like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a really interesting process that, you know, if, I mean, this is just a story, but you know, the humans appear to come from this perception of no separation and just pure being, and then get all of this story attached, all of this all these concepts overlaid on
Mm-hmm.
top of everything, and then somehow for someone like you that drops away again somehow.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, human being is the story and the character. You know, humanity is the story. You know, so if you know, I can't leave humanity because I was never in humanity.
Yeah, and humanity is just like another natural occurrence in a way, just like the tree outside or
Correct.
the
Yeah,
cloud.
but we've taken these identities. You know, we are not what is. You know, we are not um, unlimited. We are not undying. You know, we were born. You know, here's my birth certificate as proof. You know.
Yeah, birth and death certificate for
Mm-hmm.
everybody.
Exactly. Yeah, those are your, yeah. So if you could drop both of those, the story,
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah, and you mentioned suffering. So yeah, I think what drew me to spirituality and all this kind of stuff, and a lot of people, it is suffering. And initially, it's being drawn to want to find a way to relieve suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you go deeper into it, you start to see these very strange things, like you're describing, that the suffering comes from holding on to this story of there being a character that can suffer,
Mm-hmm.
of there being a state that's not
You.
right, or
It's not you.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's not. Yeah, and also, well, you know, one thing that people like to talk about, a lot of people have questions about quite often, is free will. What's your take on that?
Free will is pure ego.
Yeah.
Free will, what free will needs is praise and criticism.
What do you mean by that?
Um,
Like did you do a good job or not? Like it's a test and it's class or something.
I mean, ultimately, pat me on the back because I figured out how to stop suffering. Criticize me because I haven't figured out how to stop suffering.
Right.
If again, free will is for the character. To again, where do you want to go? That you're so free will is if I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And I need to get out of being stuck.
Right. If you're in A and you're trying to get to B.
Right. That's all free will is about.
Right. But when you see that there is nowhere to go, and
yeah, there's no A, B, there's no person to go to point B. There's no person at A trying to get to point B. So then there's no need for free will. Free will is for the person.
It's beautiful.
So again, yeah, free will is just more entertainment. There's peace and there's entertainment. If you can't see suffering is rooted in entertainment, then it's crazy that may sound. It may sound apathetic. Suffering is entertainment, but again, if you're watching a horror movie and you see the slasher just doing whatever, you're watching it for entertainment. You understand this is not really happening.
Yeah.
So again, anxiety, it's not really it's happening, but not to what I am. It's like if you're in a building and a fire alarm goes on, it's saying, hey, get evacuate. But if I think that I am causing the fire alarm, then I'm freaking out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's this thing that there's a saying of like, it's like you're hitting your head against the wall, so you get the feeling of relief when you stop.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's really simple. Again, when we try to make it complex, uh, looking for spiritual teachers and spiritual this and so again, spirituality is for the person. It's not for the spirit. So eventually you have to let go of spirituality because it's for the person. It's not for you. The purpose of spirituality is to say that you're spirit. If it's not doing that, then it's not spirituality. It's religion. You know,
Yeah.
it's keeping you seeking what you are.
Yeah.
So I can't be a spiritual spirit. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Can you be an unspiritual spirit?
I can just be.
Mm.
Being again back to the moment. Life is now. Life is not a second from now. There's no second from now. There's no second before. Again, we're talking about past and future. We're talking about entertainment. We're talking about time traveling.
Can the mind grasp it?
The mind belongs to the person. Whenever it's mental, whenever it's psychological, it means I'm not here now. So again, you don't lose your mind. You lose the belief that there is a mind, that there is a person with them. So again, mind and brain, I guess, we think of those two as synonymous, but the body has a brain, it doesn't have a mind. Mind is this concept that we've created. There's a brain. I'm not going to disregard the brain, but there's no mind where all this information is stored.
Yeah.
It's like a bank. I don't want to lose my bank because that's where all my money is.
Yeah. Yeah. well, can the brain understand this?
Only you can.
Is that the brain?
No.
Yeah.
So consciousness is not from the brain. The brain is from consciousness.
And could you describe what consciousness is?
It's the here and now. Back to consciousness is the moment. It is life. Everything is here and now.
Before we start putting labels on it.
Correct. So even before, so again, a newborn understands what here and now implies. But if I said, "Hey, what's here and now?" they wouldn't understand what I was what I was speaking. One, because they don't understand English, and two, it's like, why are we putting a sticker on or trying to grasp the ungraspable?
For entertainment, as you said.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
This word entertainment, it's an interesting word because it reminds me of the word containment.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a container. It's like entering a container or something.
Yeah. So again, back to not back to, but think about the term suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
Same thing. You're watching a magic show, and a guy chops a woman in half.
Yeah.
Like, you understand that if you really think that this is real, that you're suspending your disbelief, to imagine that, someone's body has been cut in half. So after this is over, you unsuspend your disbelief. You stop believing, essentially. So again, if you think of disbelief as what is, it's a word to say, reality, the moment. Disbelief is not something that we do. We can believe. Believing is an act, but disbelief is. So again, we suspended our disbelief, when we believe. So we have to stop believing, and then you'll know.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I guess, how do I say this? Well, I guess often what happens with people, let's say even with the best of intentions or whatever, yeah, I'll put it this way. Like, this is how Ramana Maharshi put it. He said that the mind or the brain, whatever, but trying to figure this out or trying to stop believing things that are false.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he said, it's like hiring the thief to be the policeman and
Mm-hmm.
expecting them to do it, do their
Sure.
job. So what I often find is people will, I mean, it's a very human thing to sort of like be disillusioned from one belief and
Mm-hmm.
feel like you're free, but actually just another belief comes in to replace it. And that belief might even be a belief that you are nothing. You are something
Mm-hmm.
called nothing, or you are something called I don't know,
Yeah.
any sort of
So,
spiritual word of that, yeah, like consciousness. That could be a concept,
right.
that I am consciousness.
Yeah. So again, I'll go back to the beginning. I am here now. That is not a belief. If I want it to be a belief, then I'll believe I'm here now, and I can't know that I'm here now. So my two beliefs are I believe I'm here now, and I believe I'm not here now. None of them have anything to do with knowing that I'm here now. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. I am here now. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that?
It I guess I'm not sure what belief even means at the moment.
Belief means not knowing.
Whoa. Belief means not knowing?
Mm-hmm. So if I believe, I don't know.
Whoa.
So let's say I believe in God.
Yeah.
That means I don't know God. So if I know God, I don't need to believe in God.
Yeah, I guess for me it's
Or,
like for
or
me
let me.
hmm,
1 + 1 is 3.
okay.
Do you believe that?
No.
Why don't you believe it?
I was taught how math works and so my brain just says, "Oh, that doesn't add up."
Correct. Okay. 1 + 1 is
2.
okay. So you do you believe that 1 + 1 is 2?
It just feels like a pattern that my brain has memorized or something.
Sure. So
It
yeah. So belief again. It's a conditioning.
got it.
We're conditioned to not know.
Got it. And so what is knowing?
Not believing. you know.
But
So
when we
again.
say knowing, it's yeah, that's really interesting because I guess it throws me off a little bit the way you're using these words because often people will say that kind of use the word knowing the opposite. That no, they'll use knowing the way you're using the word believing.
Mhm.
And I guess this is where it gets tricky for people who listen to a lot of different people because words ultimately can't really reach this. They can't touch this.
Correct.
So I mean,
So when there are no words, there's no need to believe. We believe words.
there's no words, there's no need to believe. Yeah, I mean, you just like look at the clouds and something comes over you. You don't need to know what that is. You don't need
Right.
to,
Right. So belief and knowing aren't the absolute. The absolute is what believes what knows.
right. And is the absolute a thing?
No, it's no thing.
Right. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
So again, this character is a thing. The story is a thing. Trying to find the thing can't find nothing.
Right.
Nothing doesn't need to find nothing.
The thing isn't going to realize its own non-existence.
No, nothing has to realize that it is not a thing.
And that just happens on its own.
Uh, when you're.
It just is. It doesn't even happen.
Mm-hmm.
It already is, always.
Right. Mm-hmm. So again, you imagine being a thing that is afraid of nothing and simultaneously trying to find nothing.
So what do you think of the word love?
Love is nothing. Love is here and now.
Yeah.
When I say I'm not, so again, love is not an action. I don't, when I say I love you, I'm not saying that I adore you. I'm saying that you and I are love.
There's no separation.
Correct. You can drop my I and you're you, and there's love, that remains. Totally. I don't adore you. Again, that's attachment.
Right.
I'm attached to my I and you're you. And if you don't show me that same attachment, then there's going to be a problem.
Yeah, that's ego.
Correct.
Yeah.
There's an imbalance. You don't love me as much as I love you. It's not more entertainment. Loving is entertainment. Love is what is.
Love is just what is.
Mm-hmm. I don't have to show, I can't show love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you could even say like the art that I create is an attempt to express the inexpressible.
Well, you could say, well, I think you were saying earlier, like that underlying layer of black, you could call that love.
Sure.
And everything comes out of it. Everything is an expression of that love.
Correct. So it's about, a way of expressing the inexpressible. The inexpressible will be the black. The expressible, would be the colors, saying that they all, come from and return to what is.
Yeah. 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 There's a old saying in India, in Advaita, of, reality is that which has no beginning and no end.
Mm-hmm. Correct. No birth certificate, no death certificate.
That's reality. And it's interesting because it's a very practical definition of it, because what it says is anything that's changing and has a birth and death, how could that be real?
Yeah.
If it's not, yeah.
Yeah, more importantly, how could that be you?
It's incredible.
Mm-hmm. It really is. So again, as long as I want to, as long as I want to get better, as long as I want to change, I'll keep creating, this character. I'll keep perpetuating this character. This character needs to change, where I can't change. I'm unchangeable, if I wanted to.
Yeah, but your art style might change, maybe.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I can't change. I'm not a thing that can change. I'm not a transformer.
Yeah.
Nothing doesn't morph into a,
Yeah. That which changes isn't you.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it's all held within the wholeness of you.
Correct. Yeah, everything is, all the planets, all the stars.
The ocean. Yeah, that's what Nisargadatta used to say. He would say, you think I'm this body, but my body is the whole universe.
Mm-hmm. Correct. So, I don't even want to say, you can't limit yourself, because yourself is the limitation. Again, we think about believing in ourselves and know thyself. Like that's, don't do that. Don't believe in yourself. As cool as that sounds, all your favorite athletes. So I believe in myself. I believe in this. Don't do it.
Yeah, but well, that brings to mind this phenomena of the flow state.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of like the greatest athletes will talk, and musicians and artists will talk about when they're really in the zone, or when they're not even like this interviewer asked Bob Dylan, like he quoted him back some lyrics he wrote 20 years ago, or 30, 40 years. And he was like, how did you write this? And he says, I don't know. Like that's sort in John Lennon similar. It's like, yeah, it's like when Jimi Hendrix is soloing, like you don't get the sense that there's a person there. It's just a flow.
Exactly. It is being expressed from the moment. It's always the moment. It's always there's never a person. So there is no Jimi Hendrix that created these albums. There's no Michael Jordan that, you know, shot game-winning baskets. You know, it's all consciousness expressing itself, not even itself. Consciousness expressing um, expression. You know. So when we get hung up on the individuals, you know, then we have to be an individual. We have to achieve what, you know, try to achieve what they achieve. Otherwise, you know, I'm nothing. You know, again, I'm nothing is a slur in that point. You know, I'm nothing. I don't want to be nothing.
Mm. Yeah, because people are, well, yeah, I guess I see the kind of human side of it, if you want to call it that, the maybe genetic side of it or something, where we're just sort of hardwired to survive. And if you're really good at something, then you're going to get, you know, more status, which will lead to more, you know, you know, like, yeah, so the species goes on. You know, you're going to have enough food to eat and a nice place to live, and you'll be able to take care of your family. So there's a sort of practical element to wanting to be somebody, so quote unquote.
Mm-hmm. But you're not genetic. You're not the body. You know, so
yeah,
this is for your character that you've created.
Yeah.
So again, naturally, this body needs food, so I'm going to, you know, feed it and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But eventually, there's going to be a period where, you know, it's not going to accept food anymore, and it'll, you know, begin to shut down. But that has nothing to do. I won't shut down. I can't shut down.
Right.
I can't shut up. You know, I can't grow. You know, I'm not growing. I've never grown. I've never been a child. You know, I'll never be an adult. You know, I'll never be elderly. You know, these are things that happen to the body when you identify with these stages. So there's stages everywhere, but when you identify with these stages, these I guess leveling up, these, you know, this whatever.
Yeah.
Unfolding, you know, whatever you want to call it. When you identify with that, then you create a story. Nothing has no story. Peace has no story.
And yet within that piece, a lot of there's nothing but apparent variety. There's all those colors. There's you know, there's different opinions about everything in this world and activities, and it's just, life is just variety. It's like a jungle, you know, of just every type of life, every color exists.
But it's all one.
But it's all one. It's all part of a whole.
Mm-hmm. There aren't any separate situations or separate existences. You know?
The separation is like, that's just the brain's perception as a.
It's your perception.
It's my perception.
Yeah.
Yeah, my perception through this body, apparently.
Correct.
Yeah. And so there's this, so some people kind of seem to get hung up on the whole, like, I don't exist. And so maybe they just like don't leave their apartment, or they don't do, maybe they would stop painting, you know, because they're like, what's the point of anything if I don't exist? You know what I mean?
So existence, ultimately, when we say existence, we're talking about the coming and going, you know, the start and the finish. So existence is form-based. It's the changing, you know, the shape-shifting, all these, you know, flowers blooming, you know, bodies growing, apples falling from trees, cars moving. Existence is all the movement, everything that moves, everything that is created and destroyed. You don't exist only because you weren't created, and you won't be destroyed. Existence is not, if I say I don't exist, I'm not disassociating from existence. I never existed.
Right.
You know?
So the whole play of the entertainment goes on.
Exactly. It's beautiful. I mean, it's you know, it's like watching a concert or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, you paint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but to know that I don't exist is to not have a character that exists. So again, if I think I'm this character that exists, the last thing I want is to not exist, because that would be the end of my character.
Right.
I don't have to worry about existing or not existing. It's not an option. You know what I mean? I can't change. I can't grow. I can't, you know, die.
Man. Would you say this is the perspective of the absolute?
Of course, it can only be.
Yeah.
So looking at your screensaver,
Yeah.
I see this planet that is rotating, and then there's a star behind the planet.
Yeah.
The star exists, the planet exists, but the space that it is in does not exist. So,
What? Yeah.
so eventually the planet will be no more, that star will be no more, but that blackness is not going anywhere. It didn't come from somewhere. It doesn't have a birth certificate. You know, it doesn't celebrate birthdays. It does, but you know, under the impression that it is not what it is.
Yeah. 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 Anything we say to qualify its existence, it's like, what time is it on the sun? You know, it's like Star Trek, star date, whatever, 5670B. Like,
Yeah, more entertainment.
yeah, more story.
And again, entertainment is fine as long as you don't associate with the entertainment.
And so
Yeah,
how?
so I'm not an artist. You know, if I want to be an artist, then I'm, you know, in the entertainment. And, you know, then I'm a starving artist, and if I'm not selling paintings, then you know I'm depressed and anxious because I got to pay my bills and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But when I don't associate as the artist and I paint, then whatever happens happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I create an artist, then this artist is going to always want to succeed and never fail. And when it does fail, it's going to be depressed and, you know, looking for validation and, you know, please buy my paintings, please like my paintings, you know, all because I've created this persona that is in the art world. But I'm not in the art world. You know, I paint, I can paint, but I'm not an artist. I'm fine. You know, whatever happens. You know, if none of my paintings sell, you know, I'm cool with that. It is what it is. You know, it's cool when they sell, and
Yeah.
it's cool when they don't sell. You know.
Yeah. And you're
But
not.
yeah, the artist needs success.
Yeah, you're just life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can paint. I can grow trees. You know, I can. You know, I do it all. You know,
Yeah.
just with, you know, effortlessly. You know, it's not like I'm, you know, even when I paint, you know, it's not like it's not work. It's not a struggle to paint. You know, I know what needs to be done, and I do it. Now again, that takes practice, but still, you know,
Yeah.
now I know.
Yeah.
But there's no person painting. There's no human being, a descendant of an ancestor that is painting. It's just painting is happening. You know, it's flowing. You know, it's dancing, just like, you know, the Earth is rotating, and you know, all these planets and everything is just, it's a dance. You know, so I can't be. I'm not a part of the dance. You know, I'm you know, in the audience just watching. I'm not even in the audience. You know, it's, you know, I'm not a part of the dance.
Yeah.
If I want to be a part of the dance, then, you know, it gets dizzy. You know, I'll get dizzy all the time, all the spinning.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, you know, you said you started this journey in some sense, or the character that never was there, you know, started this journey with you know, the monomyth and Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey. How do you view this hero's journey now?
I understand what it means. Like essentially, you know, the hero leaves home and realizes the truth, and then returns home to tell, you know, everyone what they figured out. So that's, you know, that's all that I'm doing now. Like I understand, you know, and now I'm again, I don't want to be, I don't want to organize the truth. So I'm not on a soapbox, just preaching to everyone. Again, via Facebook, I'll make random posts, every
Yeah.
now and then, but I'm never speaking to a person, to a human being. I'm speaking to, presence, to what is, and same with the paintings. I'm not painting a painting for a particular type of person. I'm painting a painting for no person.
Yeah. Who's your audience? What's your demographic? Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
no.
I mean, I feel like a dog could walk into a gallery and appreciate the work.
Oh man, I bet it would.
Mm-hmm.
You have a dog?
I don't.
Oh man, maybe you'll get one day.
I'm fine. Again, I don't, I understand with, their service and, what they provide, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Whew. Man, well, I feel like we covered it, man.
Cool.
I feel like we covered nothing and everything and
Yeah.
just whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
You,
If I could say anything, just to close it, I would just remind you that you are here now. Here now is what you are. Not here now is for entertainment purposes only. If you want to write a book, make a movie, it's only for entertainment. Once you think that you're, really not here now, then you'll always imagine not being here now. You can't return to the now simply because you are it. You'll never return. And you, in that same vein, you can't leave the now because you're it. It's not a place you are. You're in Hawaii and you leave Hawaii and then return to Hawaii. You can't. It's not how it works.
right. Man, I was just thinking, like, I know a lot of your the things that you come up with and share, like, go into your, like, the titles of your paintings. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, man, that'd be a great title for one of your paintings if you haven't used it already. Not here now is for entertainment only. I mean,
I thought about that. That's a bit long, but
yeah, it's a bit long though. Yeah.
I thought about, for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah.
And yeah, that works.
Right on. Well,
so I was actually going to do one today called, for entertainment purposes only.
No kidding.
Yeah. So when I finish it, I'll shoot a picture to it.
Awesome. So, all right. So we're gonna wrap it up here, and that was a great note to end it on. Everything you just said, and I think people are really gonna appreciate that. And if people want to find your paintings and see what you got that you're selling, and where could they find you?
My paintings, I post them on Instagram. I don't have a website, simply because I feel like websites are kind of on the way out. Social media has become such a gift, to where it's not exclusive. Anyone can join. So most of my paintings are posted on Instagram. You can go to Instagram.com. My tag is being Jaz Brown. The @ and then being BEING, Jazz JAZZ, Brown BROWN. One word, being Jaz Brown.
Awesome. And I guess people can also follow you on Facebook because you post a lot of cool stuff there too.
Yeah, and then the gallery that represents my work here in Seattle is called J. Reinhardt Gallery. So you can also go to jreinhardtgallery.com.
Awesome. Well, man, thanks for doing this talk. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime, man. No problem.